Hello and welcome. I'm pleased to be joined by Andrew Collinson of STL Partners. Now, Andrew, you did the opening session today at the second day of the Total Telecom Congress, and you were talking about a new concept for telcos. Now, somebody spoke to me when you were just delivering what the solution was, and I missed it. Can you explain?
Thank you. Yeah, it happens so often, doesn't it? That critical moment. So yeah, what we're talking about a new way of thinking about what telecoms operators are for. What's a telco for? So, and the argument we're making is that telcos are actually for solving problems, customers' problems. And part of the argument is to say they've slightly missed the boat by focusing on the technologies and not thinking about the problems. And what I'm saying is that there is a fundamental problem in the world that's all around us, that we can see all the time, but we haven't quite joined up the dots to. And this problem is the use of resources. So pretty much everywhere you look in the world, you can see a manifestation of this underlying problem. You've got 7 billion people in the world, billion that is, not million, using 1.7 times the world's resources. And that's a very simplified way of looking at it. But I'm not talking from a green agenda, I'm talking from a business agenda. The way that you create new value, the way you find growth in markets is by solving important problems. And 30 years ago, when I joined the industry solved important problems. It connected people, it brought them information, it brought them communications that they didn't previously have. Well, that job's not exactly over. But really that's in the enhancement phase for most people. There are still obviously people to connect on the internet, but mobile penetration is 103%. You can't really go much higher than that. Well, you can call an IoT devices higher than that, but really that's not meaningful for people. But the problem that exists in the world is this resource utilization. So if you think about what you hear about fuel, water, power, land, money, time, every customer you speak to, whether they're consumers, whether they're governments, whether they're business, they're all expressing these issues, but in a slightly different way. And what I'm saying to telcos is, think about that as what your job is. Because you've already got one job, right? Connect everyone. Well, you're doing a pretty good job at that. Not everyone agrees, but you're actually connecting a lot of people. You can enhance that. But the reason your revenues are tailing off is because you've almost finished that job. It's no longer a growth market. Where there is growth is in this idea of making the world run better. And we've tried to capture this or express it because it's a new idea. It's an encapsulation of ideas that exist, but it's a new way of encapsulating it. And one of the ways that I'm thinking about the world is to say it's kind of moved into a new era. So and these eras run together. We've got the communications era. You and I can talk to each other across any distance in the world, pretty much in any place at any time. That's the communications job, that's the communications era, great. Then there's the information age. The information era started in about 1990, there or thereabouts. The point of information is, and you're thinking about services like Google that have emerged through that age, is that it's about discovery, it's about finding things out, finding people, and also delivery, being able to shoot a load of information to people. So when I was a kid and joined the industry, I was working on fibre optics, brilliant stuff, you can whack loads of data down it. I could see at the age of 20 that there was loads of brilliant things to do, people to connect, services to provide. Well, again, I'm not saying it's done, but look, you don't get the energy that was around at that time in the business. And part of what we're saying is that the business, the telecoms industry and telcos within it specifically can recapture that energy, can recapture growth if they start thinking about this big problem. So just continuing the age point, information age, still running. Plenty of information around, half the world's still not connected to the internet, so there is still job to be done there. What we think we're entering into is the coordination age. Now the coordination age is an add-on to the information age, if you like, and the difference is that it is uniting not just information assets, a piece of information, where are you, where can I find this thing, but people and resources. And so for example, if you're in healthcare, what do you need to do? You need to get a patient, a clinician, a doctor, whatever, the information about the patient, what's wrong with them, the resources to treat them, and a follow-on action from that activity in the same place in the same time. That's a coordination job. Most jobs that need to be done are coordination job now. Parking, anything you like really, when you look at it, it's a coordination job. And we're saying that telcos have got an opportunity here because unlike information, which is weightless, coordination is of a time and a place. Telcos are national, generally, or if not national, they have national opcos, they're regulated nationally, they have national and regional presences, so they have a different position in this time. So we believe there's a great opportunity out there and that if you look at the world like this, not only is there a business opportunity there, but there's an opportunity to create the energy and momentum for change that is missing. And frankly, it's not just about telcos, it's about the world, and telcos can't do it on their own. And I suppose I'm here to say, to people watching, to you, to everyone, if it's not you, then who is it? Who's going to do this? And if it's not now, when are you going to do it? Because if you don't do it now, we kind of can see some of the consequences that are likely. So I think at last there is a cohesive, motivating reason for the industry to do something different and not just moan about regulation. They can actually get governments and regulators thinking on the same lines. They can say, we are your partners in this. We're actually here to do an economic job, a societal job to help people, to help the world live with itself. Because 7 billion people is a lot. And however you look at it, you see the problems around the world, growing nationalism, migration. These are all resource conflicts. Fundamentally, people are saying, "I want what they've got," or "I don't want them to have what I've got," and you need to find better. Now, telcos can't find all the solutions, but they can help with a lot of them, and they can help enable a lot of them. So, I think it's exciting. I'm old enough to know an exciting thing when I see it, and I'm excited about it.
But what I would say to you is, we're talking about some, as you say, there's a lot of telcos, and there's some of the older established incumbent telcos. And we're talking about reinventing the world. They're having to reinvent what they do. What is the challenge for the telco doing that? Some of them are very stuck in their sort of traditional ways.
Yes, absolutely. And I used to think, or I briefly thought I should say, that it was technology. It's not technology. The technology can do whatever you want it to do if you've got the right people around you. It's people. People are the issue. It's alignment. We're creatures of habit. I don't blame the telcos for being the way they are. They're used to being the way they are. But the point about life, the point about the world is to respond and adapt to your environment, to your industry. It's all very well looking around and saying, well, this is jolly nice, isn't it? Well, it is. We're all fine. We're all great right now. What we're talking about is how you create value in the future and how you make things work a bit better in the future. I'm not on some sort of like goody-goody do whatever quest. I'm saying you can create value doing this. You can do good, useful, forget the word good, useful new things. And that's how you create value. And at the moment, their big problem is we've got this massive cash cow out there, broad communications. But what they're doing is, all they're doing is complaining about regulation on the back of it. And I understand that. There is a logistical, a legitimate argument for saying, gosh, there's only so many networks that you can tolerate and it's going to push your cost up. And it's a difficult question. What I'm saying is that argument makes a great deal of sense in 1980 when you've got an unconquered world where what you need to encourage is competition, where you need to get out, where you need more people doing it, and where you need to push stuff forward. Competition is great, investment is great, you get momentum through investment. Why should you invest in telecoms now? You can hear it. You listen to HSBC yesterday. They're saying the word I would reach for is abject when it comes to raising capital for the telecoms industry. Why? Because consolidation is necessary. Now, I used to think that argument was bunkum, to be honest. I used to think that's just telcos trying to make an extra buck. Yeah, it is, actually. But also now I'm starting to feel, actually, no, I think you're talking about an industry that's maturing. There needs to be some economic sense, but you need to adapt market models for what they are for. So the question is, what is, go back to that question, is what's a telco for? It's to help, like any good business or any good organisation, and I use the word good in the sense of successful, useful. They need to do useful stuff. So what I'm saying is there's a bunch of useful things you can do here. You can motivate your people. You can find investors if you get the right environment, and you can get a different alignment of the industry and the market around you. Because take for example, I mentioned the information age. Brilliant companies like Google. I mean, let's not make any bones about it. They've been fabulously successful. We all know they have. Telcos have moved from being terrified of them to still being a bit scared of them, but doing business with them, etc. They made the most of the environment. They made the most of what they could see coming and what they understood in a way that other people didn't understand, and they created a business around that. Good for them, but can you regulate them? The world is struggling to regulate them. Telcos actually have an ally in this, because governments are going, hang on a bit, I can't really control, they're not even paying all of their taxes. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm not sure about how I feel about that in our environment, and indeed how my electorate is thinking about that. So, in fact, they've got a great opportunity to go there and say, well, you know what, actually, we're on the same side. We want to make this place work better. And yeah, we've got no problem with Google and people like that. But also, you've got us over a barrel because we are regulated by you, but we want to be your partners in this. So I think there's ways in which telcos can change the world around them, not by complaining about, oh, it's really unfair, these guys use our network. Yeah, it's got a time and a place, and I'm sure it's created a lot of value. But really, that's not about creating new value. You create new value by doing new things, new useful things. That's fundamentally what I'm saying. So I'm trying to be a bit of a pain in the butt, to be honest, to the industry, and move them forward and get them to think a different way. Because you said, what's the problem? The problem is people. You've got to get alignment of objectives. Yeah, we all have our habits and what we want to do and how we want to do it. To make us change, we need to see benefit. We need to see a compelling argument to move us forward. And what I'm saying here is, actually, I think there is a compelling argument here. There is a compelling argument to at least consider doing something different and thinking about your world differently. And there is that old saying, right thoughts, right words, right actions. If you change the way you think, if you change the way you see the world, and you change what you're saying to people, it does open new opportunities in the world. It's not instant. It's not a miraculous spiritual yogi cure for something. I'm not talking that kind of stuff. But it's true. You find greater alignment with other people in the world. It's a social world, and they can move things forward. I'm sorry, I've ranted at you a bit there, but you did ask.
Andrew, thank you for the insight, and thanks for joining us.
A pleasure. Thank you.